What is going on, everybody? So I am back today not to review a movie, but to talk about something with you all. And if you haven't been paying attention, as of this past weekend, the film Longlegs was released. And if you saw my review, I praised that movie. It's one of my favorite films of the year. I thought that it was brilliantly shot, had absolutely incredible performances. And because of the amazing marketing campaign of this movie, the film has grossed well over $20 million, which is way over its budget in its opening weekend, and is the best performing film for the Neon production company and one of the best indie horror films of the year as far as its performance. And so it's really exciting because it showcases to us out there who love horror movies and love independent film that if you put enough time and effort and energy into a marketing campaign and the movie is good, it's going to make money. And so I was really excited about that. But what's been really interesting to me is reading so many reviews online about this movie and reading the amount of people who are saying, yeah, it's good, but it's not scary. It's not scary. Everybody's saying it's the scariest movie of the year. It's so scary. And so it got me thinking about the idea of horror movies being scary and just the concept of fear in general and what evokes fear in us as audience members, because I think that the whole discussion surrounding this is relatively silly. So I thought I would talk today just about scary movies in general and my thoughts on this movie being the scariest thing of all time. So the marketing campaign of Longlegs was very, very adamant on letting everyone know that this movie is horrifying, that it's scary, that it's going to make you ill, essentially. And so I went in and watched the movie. The word I would use to describe the movie is unsettling. It's one of those films that completely and totally gets under your skin and never gets away. There's like this feeling of evil that exists from the first 5 minutes that you just can't escape from. And that's all due to the incredible performances, the cinematography, the atmosphere, just the soundtrack, just everything about the movie coming together to invoke this real feeling of horror in you. And I just thought that it was absolutely amazing. And as you guys know, I've watched thousands of movies in my life. I review a movie pretty much every day for you guys. I've watched like every classic horror movie that you can imagine that's in like the top 100 greatest horror films of all time. I've seen it all. I've viewed it all. And there are still movies that scare me, but it takes a lot to get a very visceral reaction out of me anymore when you've seen so many films. But what I find so interesting about this is the way that other critics and people are talking about this movie. Like everyone's saying it's the scariest film of all time. I don't think anyone out there is saying that it's the scariest film of all time, other than the marketing department of the film, which, if it surprises you anymore that a marketing department is going to come out and say that a movie is the scariest movie of all time, I don't know why it would shock you. They want people to come see the movie, and they know that if they use those targeted words, that it is going to bring people in and it's going to make audiences want to watch the film. And so, of course, they're going to use words like that. And if they can get that out of any of the test audience members to say that so that they can put it on the poster or the tagline, they're going to do that. But I think everything nowadays in the culture we live in is all about kind of like leveling your expectations and just going in and formulating your own opinion. I also think a lot of what scares people nowadays, the younger generation especially, I'm going to be 34 this year. I've been alive for a while, but like people in their mid to lower 20s, I notice a lot of times when I go to the theater, it doesn't matter what genre of movie it is or what type of movie it is, people can't stay off their phones. And I think because of TikTok and because of some of the other apps out there, where you can essentially get entertainment brought to you in 60 seconds or less, immersion is becoming harder and harder for the younger generation. And I think what's interesting is if you want a movie to scare you, you have to let it scare you. You have to put yourself in the environment. You have to shut everything else off and you have to let the movie attempt to do its job. If you are half-heartedly paying attention to where you're pulling your phone out every 5 minutes and looking over your phone and checking things out or talking to someone next to you or not immersing yourself into the property, of course you're not going to be scared. And that's why so many people, I think in the younger generation, crave these movies with jump scares. Because a jump scare is not scary. A jump scare unsettles you because it is a loud noise accompanied by an image. Anyone is going to be startled when a movie is quiet and it plays a very loud noise. It's just a natural reaction. Your body gets sent into fight or flight mode. That's exactly what's happening there. But a genuinely horrifying movie is going to be one that gets under your skin and that really kind of toys with you emotionally. And I think that's what Longlegs is so incredibly effective at doing. Similarly to another movie that was talked about as one of the scariest films of the past like 10 years is Hereditary. And Hereditary is a movie that does such a phenomenal job at building up a family dynamic that feels incredibly realistic, that this family has been shaken by this loss. And then you introduce supernatural elements into it. And if you let yourself be immersed in the film, it's horrifying. And there's some imagery in that movie that will never leave my brain. I talk about the found footage film Hell House LLC all the time and how that movie doesn't rely on jump scares. And it's so much more about creating an environment, putting you as an audience member in that environment and just amping up the stakes and making the fear more palpable as the movie goes on. And I think that being scared and having a movie scare you is all going to be about what level of immersion you are willing to give the film. Because I think about a lot of movies now from the 60s and 70s and 80s, like Psycho. When you went into the theater in Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock didn't want you getting up. He wouldn't even let people go into the film late because he didn't want people to break their immersion. He wanted you to be completely and totally sucked in. Where now in a 2 hour movie or even an hour and a half movie, I see people get up and down and go to the bathroom 100 times in an hour and a half long movie. And it's just like, if you will not allow yourself to be immersed in this world, you're never going to let something scare you. And I'm not necessarily saying by any means that Longlegs is the scariest movie of all time, but I think it is incredibly effective. And I think it's truly unsettling and horrifying. And I think what Oz Perkins was able to accomplish here is absolutely amazing. And seeing some of those comments and just some of the silly discussions surrounding it, I've just been kind of baffled by the whole situation, because I feel like if you allow yourself to be immersed in something and you allow yourself to let the director do their job, then you'll be pleasantly surprised at the reactions that you'll have in specific films. Also, this is a complete sidebar, but the amount of people disrespecting Nicolas Cage's performance in this movie has also been incredibly irritating. One of my favorite performances that he has given in his entire career. He's unhinged, he's horrifying, just truly an incredible role. But it's really interesting to me to listen to people talk about what scares them and like the scariest movie of all time. And I think like scariest movie of all time, it's all relative. Like what scares you might not scare someone else. But I think immersion is 100% totally the thing that needs to be discussed when it comes to if you are going to let a film effectively scare you. So what do you think is scary? What do you think about this situation and the people that are talking about it? Let me know in the comments. I always love having discussions about these subjects, especially when I see it talked about so much on the internet. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.